Listen, before I get into the message, those of you who are parents with Elevate Kids, just a quick public service announcement. Probably in the last few months, you've noticed the price of chicken eggs and chocolate eggs has kind of skyrocketed. So this morning for Easter, your kiddos are going to be doing a Easter potato hunt, and they're going to be doing some Easter potato painting. So when you go to check them out, just know in advance the sad look on their face, that's the reason why. It's just a look of sheer disappointment that this year the Easter bunny delivered potatoes. Hey, straight off the bat, I just need to let you know, because I haven't met all of you and you don't know my story, but I'm one of those people. You need to know that. Full disclosure, I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people who actually believe the Easter story is real. I'm one of those people that actually believe that Jesus is the Son of God, that he willingly abandoned heaven, that he presented himself on earth, God in a bod, that he lived and walked amongst us and did incredible miracles, and that he willingly and voluntarily allowed himself to be crucified on a cross. I'm one of those people that actually believe that 3 days after he was put in a tomb, that tomb was empty and the body was missing. And I'm one of those people who believe the eyewitness accounts that Jesus actually showed up to over 500 people in the flesh, many of whom had seen him crucified and buried in a tomb. So I'm just letting you know that's where I'm coming from this morning. And I do know that many of you are some of those people as well. And here's the reality for me. I grew up in a Catholic family. My parents were one of those Catholic families who actually also believed the Easter story. It wasn't just kind of a religious thing for them. So that's kind of my background. But I don't believe this based on what my parents told me. I actually believe the Easter story based on the eyewitness accounts, which we actually have access to. So what I want to do today is actually take us back to a couple of the very first eyewitnesses to the tomb being empty. Now, if you've got your smartphone camera or scanner, you can scan this flow code. You have to have the Bible app installed. Don't panic if you haven't. We're going to put this in a moment. We're going to put what I'm going to read from up on the screen. But while you are scanning that, if you're used to doing that, it's going to take you to Luke chapter 24. Now, we have access today to 4 biographies of Jesus' life and ministry. The 4 authors are Matthew, Mark, best name, Luke, and John. Luke, interestingly, the other 3, Matthew, Mark, and John, they were all part of Jesus' handpicked 12 disciples. So these 3, Matthew, Mark, and John, they actually walked with Jesus, ate with Jesus, saw Jesus do the miracles, were used by Jesus to do miracles. So they were 3 people whose accounts were taken from a first-person eyewitness perspective. Like they literally had a front row seat to Jesus' 3.5 years public life and ministry. Luke, in this case, he was actually the odd one out. He wasn't one of Jesus' followers while Jesus walked the earth. He was a physician, a medical doctor. And after the stories were floating around that Jesus had actually risen from the dead, and the stories of what Jesus had done and the miracles that Jesus had done, and all these things that started to come across Luke's radar and seem preposterous, Luke, to his credit, decided he was going to go and find out for himself. And so he went and sought out eyewitnesses to the miracles, eyewitnesses to the crucifixion, eyewitnesses to the empty tomb, eyewitnesses to Jesus reappearing after he'd come back from the dead. So Luke's account isn't him as an eyewitness. Luke's account is him interviewing eyewitnesses. Because here's what Luke concluded. If this stuff is really true, then it really matters. And somebody better write this stuff down so that future generations can actually have access to this as well. 2,000 years later, we can read Luke's accounts from actual eyewitnesses to what happened. So I'm about to drop us into a slice of history where it had been 3 days since Jesus had been put in a tomb. And this wasn't just any kind of setup. It was a tomb that the Roman authorities actually put a massive stone in front of and sealed it with a wax seal and positioned 12 of Rome's most elite soldiers outside. And the reason they did that is there was rumors that Jesus had been bragging prior to being killed, had been bragging that he was going to come back from the dead, which no one believed. But the Romans were smart enough to know that if someone was to steal the body and started to repeat those rumors, oh yeah, Jesus rose from the dead, that's why there's no body there, that it would potentially lead to a civil war. So they made this tomb basically impenetrable. On the Sunday morning, group of women who had been close to Jesus while he was alive, they went to the tomb to do the Jewish ritual burial of Jesus' body. And as they approached the tomb, the 12 Roman elite soldiers weren't where they were meant to be. The wax seal in front of the stone had been very much broken, and in fact, that stone had been rolled away from the front of the tomb. That's not what they were expecting, to say the least. They poked their heads into the tomb and discovered that there was no body. Jesus' body was not there, when suddenly 2 men appeared to them, to the women. And actually, the account says these 2 men started to glow. We later discovered that they were angels. And this is what the men, the eyewitnesses' account records happened. The women were terrified. Because you understand, they were expecting to go and ask permission, can we have access to the dead body? The women were terrified. Talk about this is not how we expected my Sunday morning to go kind of story. And bowed with their faces to the ground. And then the men asked, why are you looking among the dead for someone who is alive? He isn't here. He is risen from the dead. And I've highlighted this last statement because that statement, if it's true, is the basis. It's not one of the 10 bases. It's the basis of the Christian faith. Just that, literally that. If anyone ever asks you, what's the basis of the Christian faith? The basis of the Christian faith is the tomb was empty. Jesus is risen. He's not here. He's risen from the dead. And the implication, and one of the things we come together today to celebrate, is if Jesus is fully alive and he's overcome death, he can actually cause you and me to become fully alive as well. Now, I revealed a few weeks ago that recently I've started geeking out on new car technology innovations. I'm just finding it all fascinating. It makes no sense. I don't own a car. I haven't owned a car for 20 years, but I like innovation. So I've been geeking out. Let me share a few things that are either just been released or they're coming very soon from some of these car manufacturers. Starting with this one. Is anybody willing to admit that you struggle with parallel parking? Anyone? No. Is anyone brave enough, stupid enough to admit that their spouse struggles with parallel parking? Rod, your wife's not here. I'll tell her later. Errol, you're a sillier man than I ever thought. Even in Taiwanese, that means you're a dead man. Well, good news, people, because BYD, sorry, Harrison, sorry, Kim, Chinese car manufacturer, BYD have solved the thing. So let's pretend this is it. There's a car here, there's a car here, and there's a free parking space here. There's a vehicle that BYD, this is actually available in China, where you can just pull in, nose first, go right to the corner, take your hands off the wheel, speak a command and say, park me, and it swings the back end in, ding. All right. The next level, same manufacturer, the next level model, you can pull up alongside the empty car parking spot and the car crab walks. Some of you think I'm gaslighting you. You can spend your Easter Sunday afternoon on the YouTubes. It's all there. It's not AI generated. Honda are releasing a car with a built-in PS5.
No.
Sorry, I'm just listening to the angels singing from heaven. Parents, come on now. Becky, Marianne, come on, man. Write your letter to Santa. Give me one of those. Keep our boys quiet. Come on now. Now, here's one you may or may not know about. Did you know that car manufacturers across the globe are progressively doing away with spare wheels in the boot of your car? Who didn't know that? Okay, all right, it's fine. It's a fact. Literally, today, 1/3 of new vehicles released this year will not come with a spare wheel. Now, I read that first of all, and I'm like, this just sounds like, I don't even understand this. Because like my first car was a Holden Kingswood. Some of you didn't grow up in this country. My Holden Kingswood, it was the first ever road licensed armored vehicle. This thing was a brute. And it had a spare wheel in the boot, which took me and 2 mates to have to actually pull it out and put it on. Now, the thing is, some of you might already be driving a car that has no spare wheel and you're not even aware of it. And if you're not, shame on you. Because when you go on a long drive, and I don't mean Margaret River long, I mean Joondalup long, you are meant to, it's almost a law, open the boot, check that the spare tire's there, check that it's fully inflated, check that the jack's there, and all the things. But I'm not going to judge you because nobody does that. I understand. There is a little middle ground. The car companies know that not everyone's ready to go full no spare wheel. So they've come up with a middle ground. It looks like this. And it's called, this is its official name in Australia, the Space Saver Wheel. Has anyone seen these out in the wild? Anyone? Has anyone pulled, even me on my 50cc Vespa, I ride my 50cc Vespa around. I don't feel I've got the right to look down my nose and judge anybody because I'm just puttering along at 55 kilometers an hour max speed. Please don't rain, please don't rain, please don't rain. But here's the thing. Whenever I pull up to a set of traffic lights and somebody pulls up next to me with a vehicle with one of these on, I just laugh out loud. I can't help myself. I'm like, you realize that looks ridiculous, don't you? Because here's the reality. They are meant to be temporary. In fact, do you know they actually come with restrictions? You will see, if you look up closely, it's actually written on the wheel, do not exceed 80 kilometers an hour. Preferentially stick to something around 50 kilometers an hour, and it suggests that you don't take a long trip. And again, I mean Joondalup long. They are designed to be temporary. Now, I'm a preacher, so I'm about to draw probably the longest bow I've ever drawn to make this metaphor work for my Easter Sunday message. It's a superpower. I can't explain it. This is suboptimal, and it's designed to be temporary. And yet I see far too many people journeying through life. Yeah, I'm making it work. Journeying through life with things in their life that are suboptimal, and that Jesus can make it temporary in your life. But we learn to cope. Oh, I know it looks ridiculous. Don't judge me. And Easter Sunday is a reminder that Jesus he says, I come to give you new life, not just to patch up on your old one. not just a temporary fix, not just a space saver wheel. I have come to give you brand new life. I conquered death. I can conquer that thing that you're coping with, that you're saying it's NBD, what the cool kids say, no big deal. Jesus wants to give us new life, and Easter is a reminder of that he wants to give us new life. And if he can give us new life, then that actually comes gift wrapped, packaged with new hope. That new life is possible. And I'm not talking about the sort of hope that Fremantle Dockers fans have. I'm talking about real hope, that things are going to change, that victory is possible, that it's not just going to be another miserable year. No, real hope, because real life, new life is possible. And Easter reminds us of that. Now, back to the history timeline. The women discover the tomb's empty. Angels appear to them, say, what are you doing here? What are you looking for the living? The dead amongst the living, he's not here, he's risen. And they were like, well, that was unexpected. So they go running back to where some of Jesus' followers were hidden. They were in hiding. They were in hiding because they thought they might be next. Weren't you with him? I mean, Peter's like, no. Me? Never even heard of the man. They thought they might be next. So they're in hiding. The women go back. Guess what? Now, I'm going to show, just a second, I'm going to show you how the very next thing that played out. And it played out 2,000 years ago, but some of you are going to appreciate this exact same reaction plays out today. This is what Luke records the eyewitnesses having told him. They go back, say, tomb was empty, body's gone. 2 angels appeared and say, rack off. There's no point looking for a dead person here. He's not here. But the story sounded like nonsense to the men. Hello. Now, those of you that are like me, you believe this to be true, fine. But try to put yourself in the shoes of someone that doesn't believe this story is true, and then go and tell them, guess what? I got a story for you. There's a guy, and you tell them the story. You tell them the story that we're here to celebrate and believe that's true. It'd be like, dead people don't come back to life. It sounds like nonsense, so they didn't believe it. However, Peter, now remember, Peter's the guy that denied even knowing Jesus 3 times. Peter jumped up and ran to the tomb to look. Stooping, he peered in and he saw the empty linen wrappings, and then he went home again, wondering what had happened. Ultimately, Peter went from denying Jesus publicly, going into hiding for fear he might be one of the next people to be crucified because by association with Jesus, to this slice of history. Now, spoiler, Peter having gone to investigate and then having spent time wondering, Jesus actually then appeared to Peter. Jesus actually appeared to over 500 people, and there's eyewitness accounts of many of those appearances. And Peter, he knew for certain this was no longer a fairy tale, because ultimately he gave his life, having committed to preaching about this story and about Jesus offering new life and new hope. And the authorities actually eventually did crucify him. And to his credit, fun fact, he asked to be crucified upside down because he didn't feel worthy to be crucified in the same manner that Jesus was crucified. But here's the thing. No sane person dies for a lie knowing that it was a lie. And Peter ultimately gave his life for something that he knew to be true. And so my invitation for us, if you're not yet someone who believes this, if you're in the first category, this story sounds like nonsense to you, can I just encourage you that the greatest gift I think you can give yourself this Easter is to just investigate for yourself. to allow yourself to wonder. God's not afraid of us asking him questions. God's not offended by our honesty. God's not trying to hide anything. He's not trying to gaslight anybody. And so if we're people who think, if this story is true, this changes everything. This promise of new life and new hope becomes real. But if you're not yet sure, if it sounds like nonsense to you, can I encourage you on this Easter Sunday to give yourself the greatest gift and just start to investigate it for yourself? Because if it's true, it literally changes everything.